Ben Fowlkes here for Yahoo Sports. I'm with Belal Muhammad, who fights UFC welterweight champion Leon Edwards at UFC 304 in Manchester. Now, first of all, Belal, I gotta say, I was a little bit surprised. I've heard some of the comments that you were saying coming into this fight, how at one point you said you expected this to be a pretty easy fight, which I think a lot of people would look at Leon and what he's been doing lately and think that there's no easy fights against him. What do you see that makes you think that this one you're going to walk through him?
I just think that the version of myself that I am now, I'm the best welterweight in the division, the best welterweight on planet Earth right now. And I think that you see my last three or four fights, uh, none of them have been hard. They've all been dominant wins, dominant victories. And I think I'm going to do the same thing to Leon Edwards. I always find out your weakness. I always find out a strategy to beat you, a way to beat you. And Leon's no different, whether he has a title or not. I'm going to show you guys why I'm better than him.
What do you take from that first fight? I mean, it was a few years ago. Do you think it's still relevant? Did it have something to teach you, even if, you guys only got one full round in?
Not much, right? It was 3 years ago. I'm a whole different fighter than I was back then, and just the level of opponents that I fought since then have all been different styles. I fought the striker, the grappler, the wrestler, the knockout artist, and every single one of those camps, I've learned something new from each guy, and I've gotten better every single camp. So I've just been nothing but in the gym, grinding hard every single day for this one moment, for this one match, and I was always looking at it as whoever's the champion, I was gonna fight that guy. But now that it's Leon Edwards, it just makes it that much better, right? Because it's the guy that I dislike, a guy that I hate, and a guy that when we were supposed to fight back then, it was supposed to be a small show in the Apex. Nobody was there. Now we're fighting on the biggest stage in his home country in front of a huge crowd, and it's gonna be that much more epic when I beat him.
No, is it helpful to have Ben in the cage with the guy, even if you guys didn't get to get a resolution of that fight because of the eye poke? Is it helpful to have Ben in there, to have felt his power, seen his speed, kind of felt the range a little bit?
Yeah, you always take something a little bit, right? You take how you felt in the cage, you take how you size up to him, how his speed is, how his strength is. You get little things from it, but like I said, it's 3 years ago, so there's not much that hasn't changed on my end, and I'm assuming a lot changed from him.
Now, a lot of people have talked about the unconventional start time for this one, to accommodate the UFC's pay-per-view schedule back in North America. Could be 5 a.m. or so by the time you guys are fighting. How do you prepare for that? I mean, because it'll be prime time for the time zone you're used to now, but you'll be going there before the fight and everything. So, how do you plan for a situation where we're going to be fighting in the early morning hours?
I think trying to just stay on American time zone. I'm going out there fight week, like a normal fight week, and I'm gonna be trying to sleep during the day. The UFC did a good job of like adjusting a lot of the schedule for more midday stuff, evening stuff for weigh-ins, for interviews and things like that. So I think just one of those things where I just gotta make sure that I'm sleeping at the right times, waking up during the right times. But at the end of the day, it's a fist fight, and whether it's day or night, if he's standing in front of me, I'm gonna be wide awake.
Now, you campaigned really hard for a title shot, and it seemed like you had to beat just about everybody in the welterweight division before you finally got it. Were there any moments of frustration during that time, thinking, man, what is it going to take? Is it ever going to come?
Yeah, I mean, there's always those moments of frustration, the fact that it took so long, but I think it only hurts Leon because all that time it only made me get better every single in all aspects of the game. Every single one of my martial arts is grown so much. So I just keep getting better every single day. And now that it took this long, I'm just gonna be a way better version of myself than I was a year ago, than I was 2 years ago. Uh, this is gonna be the best Belal Muhammad they ever seen.
Now, when I was talking to Leon, and I've heard this a similar thing from some of Leon's management, where they were kind of saying, you know what, Leon did say there's no way you can say Bilal hasn't earned a title shot. He absolutely has, but we also felt like, man, he doesn't bring a lot of star power, that we were hoping for somebody who would sell a whole bunch of pay-per-views, and we don't know if Bilal is that guy. What do you think when you hear that? Because it seems like you're very accessible to fans online. Fans don't have a problem remembering the name. What do you make of when people say, hey, the guy's not a big enough star, he's not a draw?
It's funny coming from his team because the guy doesn't even like to do social media. He doesn't push himself. He doesn't brand himself. He doesn't, promote himself. Like even with this fight, it's you try to say something to the guy and the guy doesn't respond back. So even in the Kobe fight, there was really no back and forth. And Kobe's the easiest guy to go back and forth with. So his team can say whatever they want to say, but they're the ones not selling. They're the ones not pushing anything. And fans in general, I think fans are clueless with who they think is the draw and who they think is the sell. There's couple guys in the UFC that are going to sell 1 million pay-per-views. There's a couple guys in the UFC that are going to sell 500,000 pay-per-views. And at the end of the day, it's just about winning. It's about getting the victory and staying on top. And it's going to come with time. It's going to come. You'll find your year where all of a sudden you explode. Nobody knew who Masvidal was, before he knocked out Darren Till. Then all of a sudden he had this superstardom. Nobody cared who he was, but it just happens. It just shows up, and it's going to happen for me.
Well, is some of the comments leading up to this fight, is that you thinking like, hey, let's get a little heat under this fight? I asked Leon if he thought that, do you think he's trying to hype up the fight with this? Leon said, I think that he's delusional. But I've heard all the people say like, hey, we think that this is Bilal's attempt to show like, okay, hey, you want some hype behind this fight, I can give you some. Is that like a conscious choice?
No, I mean I really hate this guy. I don't like this guy at all. He's a dork. He's a loser, and like I said, the fact that the way the first fight happened and he avoided me the whole time since then, it's only fueled me. And whether I keep it real, I don't have to fake anything to try to promote something. Like I said, I fought so many nice guys in the UFC, like Wonder Boy, even Gilbert Burns, Luke A. All these guys were all nice guys. Then I had guys like Sean Brady who wanted to talk trash, and it built up, a different side of me in the fight game. I'm from Chicago. I love to talk trash. I love to to have that type of animosity in a fight. So this is only gonna make the fight better for me. That I disliked Leon.
Now, you and I talked a few years ago, and I remember you saying how you had really changed the way you approach sparring, that, you didn't spar with people you don't know. You need to make sure that you can trust that somebody's gonna, be in there helping you protect your brains over the long term. What are some of the other things like when you are approaching a fight now, do you ever think back like, hey, I wish I'd known this 3 or 4 years ago? Like what are the things that you approach fights with now that you feel like this is the product of experience in this game?
I think a huge part is sparring and sparring the right way with the right training partners, having guys in the gym that want to see you win, that there's no ego involved, and they're adjusting their style to your opponent instead of them just trying to. You don't have to win every round. You don't have to win every practice. The goal is to get better from practices, not to say, "Oh, I beat so and so 5 times at practice." LOL. Yes, I'm the beast. Because at the end of the day, practice is just to sharpen yourself up for the fight. So practices only matter when you're getting better and growing instead of just saying I won and I did enough just to win at practice.
Well, last thing for you, and I'll let you go. Obviously you've been waiting for this moment for a long time. If you go in there, you win in, kind of Leon's backyard in England there, and you become the champion. What do you think that's going to feel like to, yeah, I wouldn't say wake up Sunday morning so much as go back to the hotel Sunday morning, and be like, wow, I got there. I'm UFC champ.
I mean, this is going to prove my team, myself, my family, right, that we did all the right things. We took the long road with the hard road, and it was worth it. Everything that we had to wait, the delays, the hate, the doubts, it only got me to this point that I am at now, and uh, you know, I'm just going to be blessed on that day.
Well, awesome. Thank you for taking a minute, Bilal. We'll let you go, and we appreciate the time.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.